to be hosting this first GUGA Talks, which is a series that we have decided to put it out there just with the purpose of expressing my feelings and my concerns and to really open a discussion with you parents about the industry, the soccer industry, the futsal industry, the most importantly, what can we do better for our children? Children that are athletes, they are young athletes, and I chose this subject because it's a subject that I've been dealing in my past 20 years of experience, which has caught my attention for many reasons. First of all, I'm a parent as well, and my whole life has been dedicated to coach and educate other children. And I realized that parents have been lacking the good information. So raising young athletes and the challenge that parents face in nowadays industry, it's our first subject. And I would like to give you a little bit of my background for those who don't know me, and also just to emphasize why I'm talking about this important subject, why this has caught my attention, why this subject matters to me. I'm formerly I'm Brazilian, born and raised in Brazil, where I played youth soccer and futsal my entire life. I had a dream to become a professional soccer player. I was able to achieve that at the age of 17 years old. I played professional in Brazil for a couple of years. I had an amazing opportunity to come play college for Florida Atlantic University in 2000. In 2001, I started coaching my career. So we're celebrating right now about 20, 24, 20, 23, 24 plus years of coaching. I fell in love with the job of coaching children, educate children through the sport of soccer, because it's been it's been in my life. It's been in my passion for my entire life to be around the sport of soccer and to combine the experience that I had as an athlete and to become a coach where my emphasis is to develop people. I realized throughout this process that there was a very important component while I was focusing on developing children through the sport of soccer and futsal. The parents perform a very important role into everything that we did. Everything that I did for the kids had no meaning if the parents were not on my side. To be honest with you, I went through a moment, a phase in my life that I did not like the parents. It was very hard for me because I saw in myself that I connected with the children and everything that I passed it to the children, based on my studies and my experience, always had a confrontation from the parents. And for that, I had a moment in my life that I didn't want to relate with the parents. But after being in that dark relationship, I realized that I tried to study and understand why parents were approaching me in the way that they were, why the parents were requesting things that I don't think belong to the parents to request. Many things that bother me. I came to the conclusion that the industry is pushing for one side and the parents are going with them without having enough knowledge, without having enough support. So the lack of education for the parents to understand what they're going through with their children, it's something that intrigued me and pushed me to actually get closer to the parents, bring the parents close to me. So through Joga Bonito Futsal Academy, I always have my open line. I always have a conversation with them with open heart, and I now understand that because I'm also a parent, that there is a lot of bad information out there. There is no guidance where you should be, what you should be doing in each age, which stage of development. And for that reason, I've been dedicating myself to study, to understand, to attend conversations with other coaches, to attend more educational platforms where I can be able to educate more people and be able to support where my thoughts come from, the understanding that I have from the industry right now. So just to give a little bit of my insights as a coach and as a player as well. So just to put myself in the place of the players, as a young athlete in Brazil, I also face a lot of challenge. The dynamics of between recreational development, competition, my relationship with my parents, how did that impose and how did that create me good things or bad things. I grew up in an environment where once you have a talent, it's a survival mode. In Brazil, because of the economic situation, being a professional soccer player or become a professional soccer player is a dream of the entire society. Everybody who has a little bit of talent, it becomes crazy. It's completely different than here. I mean, here I think is a little bit crazy too, but there has a component of survival. So I joined, and I could tell you guys many stories. We could talk about this in an entire call, but I'm gonna try to make this short. But I preparing for this meeting, I wanted to bring this maybe couple stories that came in my mind. So, for example, I grew up playing soccer and futsal, and futsal had a very important um, uh, concept for me because it helped not only helped me, of course, it helped me build technique, it helped me build understanding of the game, all the beautiful things that futsal do. And I'm talking about from the age of 5 to 12, where I played futsal in Brazil, but also gave me that confidence. It gave me that feeling. I remember when people first said it, hey, Guga has something special. Guga has a talent. So that was the first time that I realized the importance that I had and how I could please other people by playing. So I received a lot of positive feedback from futsal because futsal is very interactive. I was defending, I was attacking, I was playing, and I was able to perform. So that moment in my life, it was very important because pushed me to achieve my dream, right? To become a professional soccer player, I had to go through a lot of obstacles. I had to avoid a lot of things. I have to focus in my life since a young age. From the age of 12, 13, it becomes very serious in Brazil. My parents were always very supportive to me. I come from a family of educators. My father was a teacher. My mom is a teacher and a psychologist. My brother is a teacher and a psychologist as well. So they always gave me a lot of support. There was a moment in my life, at the age of 15 or 16, that I had to decide through a career of professional soccer player or my education, because you start training two periods in Brazil, morning and afternoon. And if you wanted to continue with your education, you have to study at night in the age of high school, which is very challenging. So my parents were very supportive to me and said, listen, if you want to pursue this dream, go forward. But a little bit before that, my father used to take me to every game, just like you guys all do. You go to every game, you go, you support, you're there. My father was never, um, he was always very positive with me. He was always a person who gave me directions, who gave me support. Of course, every now and then he'll say, maybe you could do this, maybe you should believe more in yourself. You should, so those information stuck to my mind. And there was a moment as well that I turned to my father and I said, Dad, I don't want you to come to the games anymore, because I felt that I was growing up and my friends didn't come with their parents. So it was a hard moment for me in my life, but I was able to speak that up and he understood completely and he was fine. Whenever you want to come, whenever you wanted me to come, I'll come. So later on in my life, when I play professional and when I play here in college for Florida Atlantic University, I actually missed the presence of my parents. There was a hard moment for me because I was alone. I was far away from home, and that support from the parents it is what I was missing. That was something that I actually reconnected with them, and I said, with my mind, I said, I do this because of you. I realized as an adult, as a young adult, when I was playing between the age of 19 to 25, that the real fans that I wanted to play for were my parents. And unfortunately, because of I was here in the US, they were in Brazil, I wasn't able to enjoy those moments. When FAU announced, number 10 from Florida Atlantic University, from São Paulo, Brazil, nobody in my family was there to support me. And it was very hard. But I also realized that they were very supportive to me in a very young age. The reason why I'm bringing this up to you guys is just to connect with you and to see that I had this perspective as a player, and nowadays I see throughout my practices and throughout my experiences that there is a there is a I empathize with the feeling that most of the parents go through. And I work with kids from a year and a half all the way through 18 or professional players, right? The most trouble age to deal with parents is the youngest one, from 5 to 8, 12. As the kids grow, as the parents go through the experience, they start to get a little bit more comfortable with. But the beginning, it's very stressful. It's very stressful because First of all, most of the parents become anxious. Every parent wants their kids to be successful. That is a given. Nobody wants their kids to fail. So seeing their kids failing, it's hard. It's very hard. So I understand that when you add a talent to the equation, it brings anxiety, and then brings anxiety. And the industry where you guys are living, where we live right now, does not support, does not give important information and credibility for you parents or for us parents to navigate with calm and understand that every kid goes through different moments. There is stages of development. There is different ages, even within the same year. If your kid is born in 2015 in January, she's completely different than a kid that was born in 2015 in July, and not even to say in December or November. So there's a big gap of growth and development, and there's a lot of anxiety that comes with this because it's normal from humankind to compare, to do comparisons, to try to compare your kid. Why my kid is not doing this? Why that kid is not doing that? So throughout the entire development, there's going to be the common mistakes that I see. It's uh, either I either I think that my kid is very talented and what I need to do with my kid, I need to make him successful, or my kid, I don't think he's born for that sport. And both of these spectrums are have mistakes. And my intention with this conversation is not for me to, of course, I have my subjects here that I want to present it to you based on my studies. I'm actually going under taking my certificate of sports psychology. It's a 12 months course that I'm taking from Brazil. And this for me has opened my mind and gave me the insights that it's my obligation to educate. I'm an educator. And as much as I love the kids and I love to spend time with the children and seeing their success and seeing them achieve their small goals or mid goals or big size goals, if the parents are not together with me, if I don't educate the parents, if I don't spend this time having an open conversation with the parents, I'm going to be failing my job. So this is about me. I would like to tell you that this conversation is about you guys as well. I would love for you all. I know we have a lot of people here, but maybe you can just introduce yourself very quickly, very short. Like, for example, I am Guga Alencar. I'm the father of Gabriel and Alice. Gabriel is 9, Alice is 5. This is the moments they are in sports. So if anybody is, would like to volunteer and just introduce yourselves really quickly, we can go one by one. Or if you don't want to, you don't feel like talking, you don't have to. But I would love to hear from you guys. Why this subject interests you? Why are you here tonight? Please, anybody.
Hi, I'm Katie Curiel. I'm son of Dylan, mother of Dylan Malarano, 2011.
Hi,
He
Katie.
loves futsal, and we've played against your team many times, and we love the sport. And thank you for doing this.
Very nice, Katie. Very nice, Katie. What's your biggest concern?
Um, I actually
I
don't
put you in the
have any
spot, huh?
concerns. I grew up playing pickup soccer, so like
Nice.
just for hours in the park. I think that's my biggest concern is they have so much structured around their days. I wish they just had hours to do nothing but play.
Absolutely,
Futsal
absolutely.
kind of gives them that, so I like that.
Very nice, Kate. I really appreciate your input. Thanks for being here. Anybody else wants to introduce yourselves or share your experience?
Hey, coach. This is Coach Danny. I'm a recreational academy coach,
Hey,
football
Danny,
teacher in
welcome.
Miami. Hey, thank you for the call. Thank you for doing this. But I'm also a dad. I'm also a dad of a 2014 U12 pre-MLS player, and really interested in the topic as a father, but also as a coach in the recreational side. Just like you, I want to make a positive impact in the industry, in my community, where we can focus as coaches, as parents, as a community in a more positive light for these kids. Because the expectations and the pressure in any competitive, sport nowadays is just so much for the kids. So looking to learn from you of how to be a better parent, but also how to demonstrate that during my coaching duties as well.
That's great, Danny. That's great, Coach Danny. It's a pleasure to have you. Coach Danny and I connected in one of the tournaments, and we also already have made some scrimmage between our academies. And Danny brings. I mean, this could be another subject too, Danny. Between the competitive and development, right? A lot of people talk about development, but what's really your goal? What's and for me, it lies on the stage of development. But of course, again, if there's a talent in that equation, parents feel that they need to do more. They need to do more, and not every time more is better. Sometimes less is better. So I appreciate you being here, Danny. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to talk? Again, don't feel forced, but if you want to share or maybe bring your concerns.
For sure. Uh, Hi, everyone. My name is Luca, and I'm the father of Gabriel. Uh, Actually, I didn't know your story before your first speech today, and I can relate a lot from what you said. I am also ex-professional soccer player, and I played in Italy, and I'm from Italy as well. What happened to me instead, I didn't have the support of my family on playing soccer, and now what I'm doing, at least with my son, I give him my support. Now, of course, then being as you said also during your conversation, we care about our kids. We do our best to give the best. And I learned from the last 3 4 years that he's playing like soccer and futsal as well. uh, I keep myself, or I go away. I don't talk to him. I say good job. Yeah, I try to. It's hard. It's hard. You're right. You're completely right. I would never like to deal with parents sometimes, but
Yeah.
yeah, good point. Thank you. Thank you for doing this
Absolutely.
and for the
Luca,
call.
welcome, and it's a pleasure to meet you. And Luca, it's very interesting to hear from you because in my mind it goes a big movie, a film, because we come from a different generation, right?
Yeah,
And now we have our kids, our children, and I work with hundreds and hundreds of children every year throughout these 24 years of experience. And I see that we're dealing with a different industry, and we cannot neglect our children, right? We need to try to strengthen ourselves, have this kind of conversations more and more because it is common. The
yeah,
industry is asking for one thing, which is against the development of children, and throughout the process, we're losing a lot of children. And not only that, but we're creating mental problems to the future, anxiety, depression, all these things that these kids are feeling, just like I described my story, and you have your story too. There's many good points, that good and bad points of your history that made who you are. And nowadays, I think there is a extremely focus on success. If we set ourselves for success super high, our chances of failure are huge,
oh,
and we're
yeah.
failing children. So I'm gonna bring some subjects I think you're gonna like. Thanks for sharing, Luca. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Of course,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Joanny, Alonso's mom,
Yoni,
2015.
so good
Hi.
to have you.
I'm just want to learn. I know that you have a lot of important things to share with us, so I want to my kid be happy and do what he loves. And for me, it's important to try to do the things good for him. So just
Very,
learning
very happy
for
to have
him.
you here, Yoni. I mean, okay, so I'll explain to the group here. Yoni is the mother of a very, very kind kid that goes to my academy to Joga Bonito, Alonso. Alonso has started very young playing soccer and playing futsal as well. And he's an extremely competitive kid, like one of those
Yeah,
kids that cannot lose a rock, paper, scissors
yeah,
challenge. And it's been a long process to together not only with Alonso but together with the family. So, for example, this is a family that at the moment that I approached them, I knew if they were on my side or they were against me, and they were completely
yeah,
supportive. They're welcome because I've seen this process gone through. The anxiety, the uncertainty, and you see your son suffering, and it's hard. As a parent to see your son
yeah,
not being successful, but what are the reasons? Why he's stressed? Why all those feelings that he's having is actually the most important thing for me as a coach.
yeah.
If
And
he's
every
a
kid is
loser,
different. And
every
our
kid is
son
different.
is a
Absolutely.
intense, emotional kid.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for
But
us, it's important.
you know how this is important for Alonso's life to face those challenges, face those feelings,
Yeah,
those emotions in a young age, and that's the most important part about sports. right?
Yeah.
I think we forget about it. Like when you put a kid to do sport, when you take them to after school program, or when you take them to a lesson on Saturday, when you're doing your effort to put it, is because you want them to fall in love with that sport. Then the
Yeah.
problem becomes when the kid falls in love, and then the industry is asking them to do so many things, so much information out there. And I'll tell you that probably 10% of the information out there is important and is good, is reliable, and 90% of the information is lost, is deceiving, is not age related, development related. So I really appreciate you and you being here. I
Thank
love
you.
Alonso. He's a kid that I enjoy so much because I know that we're gonna go through some emotions throughout the games or practice.
Yeah.
And I'm there for him. That's really cool.
And thank you for all your comments to us, to for him, for good for him. Thank you very
That's
much. You are
that's my
always, yeah.
that's my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
That's what I'm here for. That's my passion. Thank you for being here, Yoni. Thank you for your family. Anybody else? Okay, if nobody else wants to comment, I'm gonna discuss. And I want to ask you this. There's a chat here. If anything that I talk that you want to ask a question, but you don't want to come up, you don't interrupt me, feel free to interrupt me. Feel free to add. Like I said, this is not a conversation for me. I believe in interactional education. I need to learn from you guys. I'm not here to. I'm just here to bring subjects that I can discuss based on my experience. I'm not saying that I own the certainty and I don't have a magic formula to give you. If I had, I'll be a billionaire. But now I'm actually trying to build these conversations, these open chats, and from this maybe give you some more insights so you can have more information to pass it to your. I mean, just to handle your kids or to pass it to your programs to more people. So the purpose of this talk is to validate the challenge that you go through. Just like I said, I understand where you're coming from. I understand where parents are feeling. Look, just to start with from the beginning, we live in a country that aims for success. Everything that we do in the US is number one, right? So that big mentor that we have here in US goes through all of the development stages of children. So everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be number one. Everybody wants to be Messi. It's very rare. What I learned in my life being part of a team sport is that it is okay to not be the number one. If I have a number one on the team, I'll be super happy to be number three, number four, number five, because we're part of a team. So those kind of concepts are things that we learn: resilience, a health, balanced life. The importance of building a passion. And when I talk about building a passion, I go from the early stages of development. If a children enjoys a sport, whatever sport that is, uh, parents need to be very careful not to change that feeling into a job. And this is what I see most of the time because again, going from the beginning point that every parent wants their kids to be successful. If the kid has a talent in sports, my first thought is like, I need to supply him with this, with this, with this, with this, and this. So now, all of these things putting together may cause a burnout, may cause and will cause a burnout. Because to be honest with you, Luca just said that he played professional, and if I ask Luca, what made you become a professional? In my mind, since I know myself as a kid, since I know what do you want to be when you grow up, it was to be a professional soccer player. But what made me become a professional soccer player? What made me achieve a career in soccer player? There was something down there on my early stages, just like I mentioned to you, the support from my parents, feeling welcome, feeling loved, feeling different, uh, positive feedbacks that I took from teachers. I remember one day leaving school, probably the age I was kindergarten, probably 6, 7 years old, and leaving a futsal game, a Friday futsal game, and walking outside the gym with my mom. I remember the conversation. I don't remember the name of the coach. I don't remember his face, but I remember the coach approaching my mom and telling, "Hey, Miss Alencar, do you know that Google has something, right? That he's special?" And she's like, "Huh? What do you mean special?" No, no, he has something special. And I remember that feeling of my mom feeling good about me. And I see nowadays that because our environment demands results, every practice, parents are entirely dedicated of to observe their children and to give them feedback. Now, positive feedback has one value and negative feedback has another value. And depending on the stages of development, it's almost a crime to give a negative feedback at the wrong moment. And again, I tell parents all the time constantly and say, listen, you are an adult, they are children. What they're going through here, you don't understand what they're going through, even though you were a kid one day. Now, the pressure they're going through to be accepted, to belong, to make the team, those are the pressures that they deal with. And what concerns me the most is that the children, the parents from children that are 5 years old, all the way through 12 or 13, the intensity that they deal with this, the pressure that they put on their children for their result, uh, is actually harming them. There's a big data that shows that 70, first of all, soccer in the US is the most played sports among boys and girls. It's a huge number of boys and girls participating in soccer. They love soccer from the beginning. Now, when they get at the age of 15 years old, there's a dropout rate. There used to be 70%. Now we went up to 75%. So for me, as a teacher, during the day, I'm also a teacher in a school in Miami. I deal with high school students as well. And the age of 15 through 18 is the most trouble age. If your son that you have right now, he loves soccer, loves futsal, he's 9, he's 10, he's 12, and you're putting too much pressure on them, I guarantee to you that you have 75% chance that your kid at the age of 15 realize that he doesn't have to go to practice, realize that he doesn't want to play soccer anymore. Very constantly, I have parents calling me, maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years. They say, hey, Guga, can you please call to talk to Michael? Michael grew up playing soccer. He used to go to Joga Bonito camps, great athlete, loves soccer, did all development academies, MLS, everything. He's the age of 16, 17 years old, high school senior. He has offers from college, scholarship offers. What does Michael want to do? He doesn't want to play soccer. He's tired of it. Because if you think in anything in your life that you like, if you do it too much, very simple example, you listen a song and you love that song. Oh, this is my song. I'm gonna play in the morning. I'm gonna dance. I'm gonna play in my car. I'm gonna jam to it. And you listen and you listen. After 3 weeks or 2 weeks, you cannot even hear that song anymore. It's the same thing with children. So the responsibility that you have as a parent, I think people confuse is not to provide. Of course, it is to provide and guide, but it's also to manage expectations, to manage the amount of practice. And the biggest problem that I see throughout this picture is that the industry of the soccer industry in this country and in other countries too is going against what is supposed to be done for children. And I'll give you an example. Your son is 8 years old. He's probably gonna he does a tryout. You guys are going through tryouts right now. He joins a team as a U9 player, right? That team is probably gonna practice 2 times. Now they're practicing three, 9 years old. Now, as they move up to 10 years old, 11 years old, they ask you to train 4 nights. A lot of people come to me to Joga Bonito and say, I want to do futsal on Friday. My son trains Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Can I bring him to you Friday? I said, please, even it's against my business, I'm losing money. I don't want your son to come here because I know this is going to be harmful for the children. Because if he trains 4 nights of the week, soccer, he comes to the fifth night of the week to do futsal. Most likely he's going to have 1 or 2 games, if not a tournament that takes all weekend on. That kid is going to hate soccer. He's going to be like, man, this is not for me. So this is for me one of the biggest challenges to understand children's goals versus parents' goals. And what I see is that a lot of parents are putting their desires and their expectations or their hopes in their children, which is normal. I understand. We all want our kids to be successful. But it's very important that you use the data. It's very important that you research. And I'm going to send you guys some and then here, some information, what things that I like to see. And everything that I want to talk to you guys here is about things that I've been studying and things that I see throughout the year. Okay. So the first thing for me is to understand this concept of the industry of soccer, that you start as a recreational player, you start as an after school program, you start in the little leagues, shooting starts, and then your children enjoys, your children starts to show interest for it. Some parents come to me and I say, hey, man, it's too much organized sports, right? Oh, but if I let him, he's gonna play, he's gonna run, perfect. That's different than organized. then come into an environment there where there's a coach, where there's children, where there's, the pressure from the parents. We need to balance this. And it's becoming a big problem because the soccer industry almost have you guys as hostage in a way of you have to do it. If you don't do the three practice, if you don't do the four practice, if you don't go to a game, if you don't go to a tournament, this is gonna jeopardize your playing time. And for me, this is not right. It's incorrect. I think you parents, us parents, need to stand for what. And that's why education is important. Because, for example, when a parent address me and say why my son is not playing, why that son is playing, why my son is playing this age, why he's not playing up. My back in the day, I used to be like, man, what is this guy talking to me? I have so many experience. I have all of this education. Now I understand that he's coming from a place, the parents coming from a place that of ignorance or being or not having knowledge. And then little by little start showing and say, listen, sometimes it's important that your kid doesn't play. Sometimes it's important that your kid goes through a moment of, oh, why am I not getting the ball? Why am I not, playing enough? Why Michael is playing and Johnny's not playing? Why they need to fight? They need to create resilience. They need to understand that not everything goes as we expect. Everything's given nowadays. So it's very important for me that you understand the industry where you are, and that this industry is going to demand more of your time, more of your application, more of your finances, and this creates a huge burnout for our entire family. The soccer season, I moved to US in 2000. Okay, in 2000 when I moved to the US had a plan to win a World Cup in 2010. So that shows again what I just told you about where do we live. We want to be the number one everywhere, right? But I need to develop people. I need to create players. I need to make people fall in love. And what's happening nowadays, it's a push for results before development. And a lot of people talk about development, but you first need to understand stages of development. Uh, One thing that I learned and I study a lot is about developmental psychology. The development psychology, and I'm going to read it here a quote. The developmental psychology is the study of how people grow, learn, and change throughout their lives, emotionally, mentally, and socially. For young athletes, this means understanding that their brains, bodies, and emotions are constantly developing and not always at the same, they are not always the same pace. And how does this matter to sports? When parents understand in development psychology, they realize their child's behavior, focus, emotions, or field are part of normal growth, not a sign of failure. So if I understand, and then throughout the sport, the development psychology, there's many lines. Freud has his. Um, yeah, many psychologists have different descriptions for this, but it's very important that you read about it. I read it to understand my children, and I read to understand my students. For example, I teach pre-K all the way to fifth grade, right? So I have kids that are 2 years and a half and three, and they come to me. They're 16 kids, and I greet them. I say, "Hello, everybody. How are you?" This kid turns to me and say, "Hi, Coach Poop," or "Hi, Coach Shishi," or "Hi, Coach." Automatically the teacher from the kid goes, "Hey, what are you talking? Go back," punish the kid. And I go, "No, no, 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 it's all right. No, it's not all right to call me the name, but I understand where he's coming from, because from the stage of development where he is, the year and a half to 3 years old, they're very related to the senses, the things that are coming out of their bodies, so they think it's funny. That's why they use a language. So I need to understand to better teach them. I'm not gonna go in a conflict with a 3-year-old because he called me Coach Poop. He didn't mean that. He didn't mean that I'm a poop coach. So he wants to be funny with me. He wants to interact with me. So I'm bringing him in. Of course, I tell him, let's say, watch your language, because you can get me in trouble. So this is something that I'm going to share with you guys later. I can put this in a message. But development psychology, it's something that every parent should know. Not even talk about coaches. So, if you go talk to the coaches out there, most don't know about it. Also, development stage, what kids need at different ages, and I'm going to go through really quickly. So, and then later, if you want, I can share this information with you. If you can reach out, I can send you the information that I put here for you. So, for example, early childhood, age 5 to 8, and I'm not even I work with kids a year and a half to 5, so there's a stage before that. The stage a year and a half to 5, I do a class which is parent and kids. The that class is exclusively and directed to parents, has nothing to do with the children, because even in that age, from a year and a half to 5, most of the time I see parents already labeling their kids. Oh, he's not good for this, she cannot do that, why the other kid is doing this, and they are on top of them. And then I tell them, be positive, positive feedback, support, participate, lead by example. My emotions, they capture, right? They don't have knowledge, they don't have the language yet. They don't communicate much, but they can feel it. All children can feel it. So if you participate in an activity of 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour and a half that you got there, that your children go, and as the moment that you walk off the field, I start giving them feedback, which is, hey, why didn't you do this? Well, you have to do more this. You have to do more that. Sounds like negative. I jump in the car and I'm driving. I have many things in my mind. I'm in my cell phone and I'm talking really quickly to my son, try to give them information. All those feelings added for them to don't play the sport. So the age of a year and a half to 5 years old has to be extremely positive. So I'm gonna go early childhood, age 5 to 8, fun and fundamentals. Focus, play, basic movement skills, running, jumping, coordination, catching, falling, learning how to fall. Be able to process your body movements, everything mechanical, everything that you need to do. What do they need? They need encouragement, fun, experience, variety. Variety, this is another subject. Early specialization versus variety sports. And I'm going to come to this, right? What's the parent role for that age? Be enthusiastic, focus on effort and enjoyment, not winning. Doesn't matter. Hey, you did it good, you try, you fail. What's so funny? You fail, you caramba. These are examples that you need to use with your children, age of 5 to 8. Okay. The common challenge, overemphasize on competition too early. Why is that kid scoring 3, 5 goals and I'm scoring 3, 4? And even us coaches, we make that mistake. So that age 5 to 8 has to be fun. You know why? Because that's where they fall in love. That's where they're gonna go through the rocks and the hard times to become what they want to do. Not only being a prof, I'm not even talking about being a professional soccer player or a college soccer player, but to be a successful human being. Everybody faces challenge. The early stage of life, I need to learn that I'm gonna learn how to handle my feelings, right? Learn to understand, well, I'm failing, I'm not doing. Now, parents, you have to be supportive that age. I'm gonna move to stage number 2. Middle, it's called middle childhood, age 9 through 12. It is time for skill building and identity. Remember, we're not talking about only athletes, we're talking about character. So the focus should be learning sport specific skills. Now I'm starting going more specific, building confidence, social belonging. This is the problem. This is the point that I think everybody forgets. You join a team and suddenly the main focus is to win, right? I have 10 teams in a competition. How many teams can win? All 10 can win. But how many are going to win? One. How many are going to lose? 9. Correct? So I'm setting my kids and I setting myself as a parent for failure because I'm joining a sport because of the wrong reasons. The industry show me that guide me to the wrong reason. So I need to understand that why I'm doing sports, to set values, to understand that my kid needs to be social, to understand that I need to take my kids out of the screen. The biggest fight nowadays, just like we went through the COVID, for me nowadays working with children is the battle that we have between screen time and regular activities. If your kid is in sport, if your kid wants to play soccer, play futsal, he's active, you are in a place where you don't understand how blessed you are. Again, I go back to my experience. I work in schools, and the thing that kills me the most, children from 3th grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade come into PE dead, without energy, without intrinsic motivation. So this for me is very sad. Now you all are here because your children have interest in sport. So cherish this, manage this, uh, observe the environment. Is everybody trying to win? Who want to win? Is winning important? Very important. It's very hard to teach a winning mentality. But there's many values that are more important than that. Confidence, identity, character. And what do they need at that stage level? 9 to 12. Support in learning from mistakes and developing sportsmanship. Again, your support as a parent needs to provide emotional support, recognize progress, not perfection. This is super important because even within the same age, you play U10, you play U11, U12, you're trying to emphasize on success, but we forget about the progression. How much has that kid grown? And one thing that I ask parents, which is very, very hard here, is that they don't come to practice for 2 months. I don't know, a month, because usually you go, you drop, you watch. So it's very hard for you to see growth if you're watching every day. Now you step away, you go do a walk in a park, or you go work out. if you have trust in the program. You leave your kids there and then you come back after 2 months. I guarantee that you're going to start emphasizing progress, which is much more important than success. The common challenge for that stage, kids may begin comparing themselves to others and feel pressure. Again, the support from the parents is very important. There's a big dropout in the age too, because they start comparing themselves. Why they do this? Why I'm not important? Hey, everybody's important. Maybe Billy and Jill, they're in a different stage of development. They are born early, or they start practicing early, or they have some physicality that gives them more advantage over odds. But you are very important too. So do you see how important your participation on their growth? Stage number 3, we're still talking about the development stages in soccer or any sports. Early adolescence, age of 13 and 15. That's the trouble. That's a trouble age for me. Growth, goals, and grit. Now you focus on refining skills, developing self-discipline, navigating through growth spurts. Biggest change. There's a data that is scary for girls. There's a huge dropout rate at the age of 13 and 15 because of their change of their bodies, right? So if you have a coach that work with girls and he or she doesn't understand about this development stage, it's a crime. Because, for example, I had opportunity to work with a girl that her name is Kimi. I'm gonna mention her name. She grew up in Joga Bonito since the age of 6, 7 years old. She only played with boys. She always played up, and she had a huge advantage through boys. And as she grew up, until she hit puberty, she was super fast, strong, a playmaker. Nowadays, she has a professional contract with Wave in San Diego. She plays for the national team of USA. She's probably number one in her age. She always plays up, CONCACAF champion. She's going to the World Cup. But one of the decisions that we had to take, and I had always conversations with the families, is that there was going to be a stage of her development that she was going to become slower. Her coordination is going to decrease. Even her intrinsic motivation will go down because she starts saying, well, why I'm not able to to do things that I used to do in the past. And also, my body's changing. How do you feel? Being in contact with other people. So this information is extremely important for parents of girls. You need to understand that at one stage of their life, when they hit puberty, most likely they're gonna feel completely uncomfortable because their body changes. Even the center of gravity of a women's body change when they're growing because it's a different body. And all they have to do is to be patient, understand that stage of development, and adjust to it. And again, parent being supportive, uh, understand and have open conversations with your children. That's the most important thing. My last stage of development, it is the late adolescence, age of 16 to 18. Now it is a performance and purpose. I'm taking this. I'm not coming this from my mind. It's from studies that I do, from education that I taken in my life. The late adolescent stage, age 16 of 18, is where they call performance and purpose. Did you notice there's a difference that nowadays, the age of 9 to 12, there is performance. The basic, everything is about performance. Everything's about achieving everything. So it's flipped up. And that's why the dropout rate is 75%. Because if your children at the age of 6, 8, 9 is doing personal training, is doing 3, 4 practice with soccer or whatever, your soccer club, and then is doing futsal, and then is doing tournaments, and then is doing private training, and then there is an emphasis on performance too early. By the age of 16, 18, where they really need to be focused on performance, and now I acquire all this passion, now I acquire all this talent, now it's time for me to perform. So this age, the focus should be competitive performance, decision making, continue through sport and college, and personal motivation. Why am I doing this? Because I want to achieve this, not because my dad and my mom want to achieve this. I want to be here. What do they need? Autonomy, mentorship, support, imbalancing life, sports, school, and relationship. It's not all about soccer. It's not all about being successful. There's many other things more important in life too. That's gonna help you to stay in that path, right? The parent role: be a trusted supporter, not a critic or a coach. You're not a critic. You're not a coach. I mean, some of you guys are coach, but don't be it to your son or to your daughter. Respect their growing independence. The common challenge of that age, the pressure from external expectations, scholarships, career paths, where am I going? And I can guarantee you to this, every kid that I work in this age, the age of 16, 18, my secret of success, I can guarantee to you, those who become soccer players, professional soccer players, or college students or student athletes, they become because of they persist, because they don't give up. Because there's a bunch of majority of them are gonna give up, and if you persist and if you continue, definitely you're gonna be successful in order to achieve. But for you to get to that point where they can have autonomy and say, "This is what I want," everything that you do now, from now to the age of 16, 18, is extremely important. The way you communicate, the way you present yourself, even body language. I would like to invite some of you guys to join a tournament on the coach's side. When I'm coaching, usually I'm very intrigued with the subject, right? So coaches on one side of the court or on the field, parents on the other side of the court on the field. And just the body language of the parents, I feel uncomfortable as an adult, and I can handle a mad face. I can handle criticism, but can a 9 years old handle? Can a 10-year-old handle this? Can a 14-year-old look at a parent, a mom and dad, and feel that they're not happy with them? This is completely against the development and success of your kids. So it is super important that you uh, understand these two things that I just brought it for you, these two subjects, which is the development psychology. Please research it, Google it, just put it there, development psychology, and then your brain, you're gonna open your brain, and also understand the development stages of a children. A child that goes through sport, they have development stages. What do they go through from age to 5 to 9, 8, sorry, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, and then we have 13 to 15, 16 to 18. Okay. A couple more things that I wanted to present it to you guys. It is about one thing that I mentioned, the early specialization versus multi-sports. Uh, for me, this is one of the things that most attract me about the USA environment, is that I always learn through movies or experience that I had with international students coming to Brazil, that children here play multiple sports. So you go through season, basketball, you play volleyball, you play baseball, you play soccer, then you go back again and you do swimming. Nowadays, this concept has been erased, almost erased. It's very rare that you find an athlete that play multiple sports, because again, our focus is in success. So when a child start playing soccer, all that you're doing is about soccer. Everything's related to soccer. So there's big studies that show that early specialization is not good for children. That multi-sports, diversification of exercise and different activities are extremely important for children. So again, watch the environment where your children is. If he's training 3, 4 times a week in the same environment with the same players, with the same coach, he's not being challenged enough. You need to take the kid away. Sometimes in the summer, don't play soccer. Go do something else. But you need to manage. And I know it's very hard, because you're gonna have a feeling that you are neglecting him, that somebody else is doing better. Again, the amount of information on Instagram and social media in general is deceiving. You need to understand what a 16 years old is doing. I cannot do it a 9-year old. And again, I could give you thousands of examples that for me, I use an expression that maybe is a little bit rough, but I see as a child abuse, because the children is not asking to do it. The children is in love with the sport. He's having fun, and parents are making kids do things because they think it's correct. And because I see somebody posting on Instagram, kids running with weights on their back, doing sprints, doing exercise incorrect and not adjust to their age. This is something that is extreme. It's a crime for us that come from education. Your kids don't have your kid doesn't have the power to say, "Dad, Mom, I don't want to do this. I'm tired." And even if they do this, I've seen in the past that parents say, "No, you have to continue. You have to do this." Why? Because you're going to be a professional soccer player. You're going to have a scholarship. So please be very careful, and also look outside the box. Think outside the box. I had an experience with a player that grew up in Joga Bonito, and we took him to Brazil to do an evaluation in the biggest clubs in Brazil, Corinthians, São Paulo, Palmeiras. That kid, he was at the age of 11 years old when we took him to Brazil. He ended up moving to Brazil. He made it. He did a tryout in futsal and soccer in all these four clubs. He was evaluated, highly evaluated, extremely good athlete, and the family traveled with me to Brazil. And the most intriguing question that the parent had at everywhere we went was, how many days, 11 years old, how many days you guys train soccer in Corinthians? Two. Oh, how many days you train soccer in São Paulo? Two. 2 nights. 2 nights, an hour and a half. Okay, so what do you do the other night? Oh, most of them play futsal. So two practice of futsal. What do they do the next day? Most likely, just like us here, they do personal training and they do private training. But you understand that they are going through a variety of activities that added to a big role. I took the same kid to Barcelona to do an evaluation in Spain. We got to Barcelona. The parent first question that the parent asked me, how many days the U11 trains in Barcelona? Two, 2 nights. He went to Chelsea to do an evaluation. How many nights the Chelsea trains? Two times. Until the age of 14, in any club in Brazil, in Europe, they don't train more than 2 times. Then you're gonna say, no, but that's impossible. How do they become? Of course, they have other activities that make them that help them build in a long run a better athlete. Just talking about specialization and diversification in sports. So it's super important that you manage this. Now, you're gonna ask me, Coach Google, how am I gonna do this? I don't have that answer. I don't have that answer because I already told many this story. I already had this conversation with many parents. But I know that coming from your perspective, if you play for Western, if you play for Inter Miami, if you play for any club that I can mention right now, if you say, hey, I'm not gonna play, I'm not gonna come to practice 4 nights of the week, what's gonna happen? The industry is gonna say, oh, so your son is not gonna play. So that's where I say that something's wrong there. You're being hostage. So I think this communication and you having more information, it's powerful. You need to stand up for what the history has saying. You know what? It for me, it's very painful. You know how many children I've seen in this country with extremely amount of talent, and you see this kid at age of 8, and you say, "Man, this kid is good." And I come from Brazil. I played in Europe. I have a good amount of experience analyzing children, and you see that those kids are different. It happens very, very often. As this kid grows at the age of 15, 16, I look at a kid and I meet a kid. First of all, his passion is not there. His love is not there. Technically, physically, he's not there. So we're we're overdoing it. We're doing too much, but we're not doing it quality. And I can even give another example. Children that come to futsal, children that come to Joga Bonito, they come as a supplement to soccer, right? Some children they start doing Joga Bonito twice a week, three times a week, which I don't think it's good if they do too much, right? But they do it because futsal is good for them, helps them grow, personal builder, character builder, um, self-esteem. They're learning, they're playing, they engage. Automatically, those kids move to soccer and they start training two times a week, 3 times a week. And at one point, this parent comes to me and say, "Man, Guga, really love you, really appreciate it. We see how Java Bonito and how futsal is important for the development of children, but now he's in soccer, so he has 4 practices a week." Okay, that's fine. You know, it's part of life. They don't belong to me. I want them to grow, so they grow. So it goes by 2 weeks or 2 months, 3 months, and he has a reign, right? He reigns in soccer. So this parent contacted me, Coach Guga, can I bring XYZ to train? Of course, love him to come. I love her to come. Right away when that kid comes on the field, I see that they are lacking qualities, skills, decision making, because again, they are in an environment that is not challenging them. They're part of a big pile of people where they are pushing competition, they're pushing success, where they should be teaching them how to play. They should be teaching them how to make decisions on their own. And us parents, everybody around, are supporting that environment. Do you know how many times I see parents using a very important tool, which is video analysis, right? I can guarantee that none of, probably 1 or 2% of the parents have education on video analysis, but everybody has video cameras, everybody has their own cell phones, iPads, they're recording, right? So every time I'm intrigued with parents. I say, what do you do with these videos? Most of the time, they're trying to make highlights to promote their kids in social media, right? That's what I told you about parents' goals and kids' goals, right? So you're pushing that kid to be successful. You're pushing that kid to mag a kid or to dribble. So now when I'm coaching a kid, when that kid gets the ball, he's hugging the ball, he's dribbling the ball all the time, and he's not releasing the ball when he should release the ball. So it's a conflicting message that we're giving to the kids. Now I ask parents as well. That's a very important tool. That's amazing. Now, what is the percentage between positive and negative reinforcement that you use in that technique too? Because I can watch a video and I can clearly pick great things that your son has done. Look at his pass. Look how he's moving. Look how he's defending. Look he's active. Look how he's talking. Look his demeanor on the field. Great. But I guarantee that most of the times parents are saying, you should do this here. You should do this here. Why you not passing here? Why you not running here? Criticizing, criticize. Now you add this load with the pressure that he feels, the acceptance that he's looking for, the love from the parents, the appreciation from the parents. And for me, it is extremely, it's a crime when parents do this and don't emphasize in positive and negative. Uh, One last subject that I wanted to talk because I participate in a talk with a very important coach, Gabriel Businger. He's a CBF licensed coach. He's a person who I follow, and he did a presentation with FBS. FBS is a club, a soccer club here in Aventura. That for the first time in my entire career, I saw one club providing education for parents. So they brought Gabriel from Brazil, and I went there to watch the presentation because it's the same subject that I'm discussing with you. So the first thing that he did it, which I wanted to share with you, that's gonna maybe for me it cleared my mind about what's the biggest how is so much conflicting between parents, even coaches and players. He described it about the generation that we're dealing. He said to start with to to, to understand a problem. There's a problem here, right? Why parents are killing the game for the kids? Why they're killing the fun for the children? It's because it's these are two different generations conflicting for one common goal with different expectations. So I'm gonna actually read the slide that he said. That he talks about the Generation Z, which is our children, right? In this, for me, you need to understand who I'm working with, as well as the stage of development, as well as the psychological development stages of the children. I need to understand what I can get from the kid and who I'm dealing with. So Gabriel described it to us. First of all, uh, this generation that we work with, your children, the players that I play right now, they spend hours on social media and they're true involved in the internet. So if your kid is playing, this is golden. The inability that they have to deal with diversity, they don't know how to deal with the diversity because everything is given for them. So if you put a kid on a bench and he doesn't play, it's a crime. Why he's not playing? There's value on that, right? Lack of independency. We we have come, we have came. I'm sorry for my English mistake here. I don't know. Anyways, we came from a generation of hard work people that build something for us to be calm and to enjoy life. Our generation already have everything, so they lack independency. You can see so many kids don't even bring cleats if they have to pack their bags. They can, So there's a generation that we need to be careful with. Short attention spams, right? So if I'm a coach and I'm giving big lectures, long lectures, I lost them. 1 minute, 2 minutes, I lost them. So I need to know who they are. They need frequent feedback and extremely important positive feedbacks. They have poor communication skills. You ask your kid go to a camp. You spend a week in a camp, and you go and you ask, hey, how was it, Gabi? It was nice. It was fun. What did you do? Very little communication skills. They have high expectations for success, excellent technology skills. They lack intrinsic motivation and lack mental toughness. So this for me, it's something that you need to understand when you're handling your kid about who you are and who they are. The expectations that you have on them are your expectations. Now, what can they achieve? That doesn't mean that you have to leave your kid do whatever they want to do. But you, as a parent, or me as an educator, I have to prepare my brain to see how much I can get to the kid and what I can do to get the best of that kid. And I can guarantee to you that the pressure that is being put for them for success, the demand from parents, the negative criticism, the overload of information is killing them. So you're going to have to be much, much more supportive on this. I believe, let me just take a look at my notes here. I think I covered the most important subjects for my presentation. There's many, many more topics that you can find on this subject. For me, you being here shows me that there's a lot of people that are interested, and I'm not the only one here. So I'm very surprised with the amount of people. My biggest feedback to you is to manage uh, the burnout that is being caused into the soccer industry here. Maybe go back a little bit to the beginning where we need to make these guys fall in love with the sport. Uh, of course, provide them with opportunities. which is amazing about this country, which is amazing about many, many parents. I see that a lot of you guys are very involved in their development and growth, but we can never forget that these are kids, they're children, and children must be children. A parent must be a parent. You're not a coach unless you're a coach for a profession like I am. For me, it's very difficult for me to switch from coaching, being a coach and being a parent. It's something that I struggle in it and that I have to work on it. But I believe that we need to unify ourselves and continue to share, have an open conversation, and try to understand what's happening at the stage of development of the children, study about it, and learn about what's important, learn about what's harmful, and continue to supply with the best information, the best opportunities that you can give it for your children, because there is a there is a huge opportunity in this country for growth, and we need to continue to support our children with the best and the most important task in our lives, which is to build up character. The most important thing is character. Okay. I am gonna finish up with my conversation here with my talk, but I would like to open a little bit of time for you guys to ask questions, to comment. If you feel that you had enough, and I know it's 9 or 6 on a Thursday night, you probably have to put your kids to bed or give dinner or pack for school tomorrow. I am available for questions or comments. Anybody interested to share some experience? I don't know, Fabiana, if you had any questions in the chat.
There are questions and many, many comments, Coach Guga. I think that the
That's
ones that you are not able to address today, I was just talking to the team, and we'll create content, because this what you've just said must be out there, right? So
amazing.
we'll create content, we'll publish, we'll also send you. There are parents that asking, can we have the recording of this Zoom call?
Perfect.
Definitely. Yeah. So
Amazing.
yeah,
I like it,
Jane,
Fabiana, because
Amy,
it's
Luis Moraes, lots of parents are here on the chat, Coach Guga.
that's super cool.
Take a
Now,
look at it.
for me, this is super important. Like I said, there was a time in my life that I did not like the parents. Now I love the parents. We need to talk. We need to be together on this, because the most important thing is on the line is our children, right? And I think the industry is pulling for the wrong way. And and I'm a very positive person. Those who know me know that I'm a very positive person. But I see that the industry over the years is getting worse. You know, it's deceiving. Is a wrong focus, and I think we need to stick together and find alternatives. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I make my mistakes, but I wanted to supply you guys with information. Yes,
Can I read one question? This is an
please,
interesting question.
please,
So
please.
Leon asked, I want to know how to motivate and push my son without him feeling criticized or like he's not enough.
Very nice, very nice. What age is your son? That's
Yes.
who asked this question?
I
Maybe
think
Daniel.
this was
It's
Celeste,
me.
right? It was
Yes.
Celeste. I thought it was
Yes.
Oh, Celeste, I could
Celeste.
imagine. Yes. How are
Hi.
you?
Yes.
Celeste. So Celeste Leon is he's born in
2010.
2010, so he's in a crucial age. Um, in the case of Leon, because I know Leon personally, it's he has to find he has to trust in himself, right? He's gonna have to believe in himself, and that's the way you're gonna motivate him. And the motivation is gonna come by your support, which you are a very supportive mother. I've seen you around him, and I know sometimes it shows that children, teenagers, they don't want to have you around, but I can be there without being there, right? I can also not be there being there. That's a lot of other mistakes that parents make it too. But being supportive, offer to him experience where he's gonna find pleasure, not only in success of winning but finding the right environment, find good coaches, good mentors, find good group of children, find other parents that also focus on, hey, I need my kid to stay in sport. Because the biggest challenge, the biggest problem, like I said, your kid doesn't play sports, or your kid gets to the age that he doesn't want to play sport anymore, and then there's many bad influences out there, and you don't want to get involved with this. So you want to be part of this motivate. Your question is incredibly important. How do I keep my kid motivated? Is to try to find opportunities for him in an environment that supports who he is, because every kid is different too. I know Leon, so I know how I could make him happy, but I know you know too. I don't know if I help you.
Yes. Thank you, Gura.
Thank you, Celeste. Anybody else, Fabi?
Does anybody here in the call want to ask a question, or
Yeah, if
can I?
anybody wants
Yeah,
to,
I can read one more. There are so many.
that's
Um,
Fabi, what I wanted to do, maybe people start leaving already. Can you share
yes, I
the
will.
resources,
Yes.
please? Because we're gonna share here, but maybe we can send an email to everybody else too, who those who left already. I prepare a list of resources, things that I like to see, and there's a list of Portuguese contents. There's a list of English content. Those are things that I like to watch. A lot of things come from my sports psychology certificate that I'm taking. And I'm gonna continue to share with you guys everything that I read and that I see. So we have your information, but it'll be nice if Fabiana can share
Yeah,
this for everybody,
just a
and
second.
they can
There
just.
was a limit of characters, so I've shared half of the list, and right now I'm sharing the
Okay,
other half. So
perfect, perfect. So it is on your chat if you guys want to
yes,
copy
and
and follow pages.
there were
Mhm.
many comments. Amy, Finn's mom, many comments.
Very
Joel,
cool.
Nick, JB parents, Lucas also JB parents, saying how much they appreciated what all the information that you've shared here with them.
That's awesome. No, no, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Like I said, this is the passion. This is my life's passion. I loved the opportunity to work with your children and the opportunity to help and now educate parents. For me, I think it's a priority. Parents are very, very important. Very important. Is a three-way equation. There's the coaches, players, and the parents, and we don't have equal value in some stages of their lives and the development. A coach is going to be very important, a parent is going to be more important, but the most important thing is for you guys to study and educate yourselves and reach out, talk. I'm here for you. There's many information, that much more information that I can share, but I don't want to kill your brain and your time. But I'm looking forward to speak with you guys and see you guys in the next talk. We're gonna try to find a very interesting subject as well, but I'm very happy and honored to be able to speak with you all. Fabian, we have the contacts of everybody, so maybe we can share with them later all this information. Everybody, thank you very much
Definitely.
for being here. I really appreciate you. And let's take care of our most precious thing, which is our kids, our children. We need a better world.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank
Have a
you,
great
coach.
night. Don't hesitate to send us messages and ask your questions if you may have any more. Thank you.